Welcome back to America's Voice Live. Well, next week, the House set to vote on the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It's also known as the SAVE Act. It would require proof of U.S. citizenship to vote in the federal elections. Pretty good idea, right? Well, as you can imagine, House Democrats urging to vote no on the bill. That's right. They don't like it. NRCC spokesperson Will Reinert recently stated this: Joe Biden isn't fit for office. Of course, extreme House Democrats would want illegal migrants voting to boost their failing president. This bill would also require non-citizens to be removed from voter registration rolls and open up legal consequences if they are not removed. Joining me now to discuss this, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. Colonel, nice to see you. Let's start with that in a moment, because first I want to ask you about all this nonsense about Joe Biden. Obviously, he had a terrible debate performance. We all saw that. We saw that he didn't have good interviews after that. And now today, a letter sent to his Democrat colleague says, I'm not leaving. I'm here. I'm the best guy to beat Donald Trump, and I'm not leaving, even though he looks to be a threat to American national security. Good to see you, Colonel. What say you?
Well, I think it's so important, Steve, and it's great to be with you, that we continue to focus on the failure of Joe Biden's policies and not whether or not he'll be the person running or someone else will replace him. Because if there's someone different, everything's going to continue on, being that the problems with inflation, being the problems with our energy security, the lack of us being energy independent, our national security, foreign policy. So I think that that's the thing that we want to focus on, is the failure of this president and anyone else that steps in his stead, because it's about the progressive socialist left, these Marxists, and what they're doing. Our domestic security policies. Look at, how people are supporting Hamas on our streets. So that's what I think the focus has to be for Republicans and Republican candidates.
Yeah, we need to move forward. But here's the thing. Is he fit to serve today? If there's a phone call this morning at 3 a.m, is he fit to answer the phone? So not political expediency, not going with the status quo, but going with what's best for America. Wouldn't it be best? And it surprises me to hear myself even say this. Wouldn't it be best if Kamala Harris were president?
Well, it would be better than what we have. It would not be a great improvement, but without a doubt, we do not have someone that can answer the phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, which was something that Hillary Clinton talked about. So I think that when you listen to the left, they talk about threats to democracy. Well, we have a threat to our representative democracy. We have a threat to our constitutional republic. We have a threat to our national security. And the question is, who is really running this country? When the president goes away for 6 or 7 days to do debate prep, and we saw how big of a debacle that was, who was running the country for those 6 or 7 days when, oh, by the way, he was taking afternoon naps?
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about threats to democracy, because the Democrats spent a lot of time talking about how Donald Trump and the MAGA folks are a threat to democracy and all these other things that they point to, which is all nonsense. And these extremist, nationalist Christian groups are a threat to democracy. How about illegal aliens voting in our elections? That would be a threat to our republic, which is not a democracy, by the way. It is a representative republic, as described by Benjamin Franklin. That's a threat to our nation, to our national security, letting people that are not citizens cast votes. And yet the Democrats, they don't seem to care, because the SAVE Act would require, legal punishments for attempting to vote or voting, and a lot more severe punishments that are currently on the books. They, of course, want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're here in Texas. What a big threat to us and our election security here in the state of Texas, where we have seen millions of people come across this border illegally. I'm here in Dallas. Dallas is one of the top cities in the country for human and sex trafficking, and we know we have cartel activity. But this really does give you a clear understanding why Joe Biden and the leftists took this position of allowing tens of millions of illegal immigrants into this country. And it is a threat to our representative democracy and our constitutional republic to not just allow illegals to vote, which is something that Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania and also Governor Hochul of New York talked about, but to allow them to be counted in our census, which means that they will determine the apportionment of our representative districts. So the left has played their hand. I think every American should be very concerned about this. They should not have a say in our elections if you're here illegally.
Yeah, they should not have. But, every place you look, Democrats want to change the way we do elections. First of all, you've heard them say, people that are 16 years old, sometimes as young as 14, should be able to vote. They can't do anything, but they want to be able to cast a vote in support of Democrats. You want people to come here in municipal elections in D.C. or San Francisco and cast votes in municipal elections. It'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong? Again, they don't live there. They're not legally in the country many times. Of course, it's not appropriate for them to vote when they're not property owners or they're not stakeholders, if you will, in this country. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff, isn't it?
It is pretty simple stuff. And one of the things that I'm concerned about here in the state of Texas is something called the Reasonable Impediment Declaration, which says that a person can show up at a polling location and say, hey, look, for whatever reason, I don't have a photo or a picture ID, but here is a utility bill. Here's a bank statement. Can I just sign this declaration and be allowed to vote? You know, where can you go in the United States of America without some type of picture and photo ID? But we need to be concerned when you go back to the 1996 motor voter law signed by Bill Clinton that we're allowing illegal immigrants to get driver's licenses, which they can use as a picture ID and go in and vote. So we've got a big problem, a big concern, and we need to make sure that we have the internal controls all throughout the United States of America that prevent illegal immigrants from being able to vote.
And Democrats, meanwhile, say, well, there's already, laws in place to prevent that from happening. So this is already taken care of, and the SAVE Act is not necessary. It's overkill, and so on and so forth. You know better than that, because if that were true, we wouldn't need 27 new gun control laws proposed every single day by Democrats, right? Because there's more gun laws than there are any other law in America. And yet protecting our vote, protecting our election seems to be not that important to Democrats. Colonel, I'll give you the last word.
The rule of law means nothing to the progressive socialist leftists, to the Marxists. As a matter of fact, if you remember what Joseph Stalin said, it's not so much the person that casts the vote that matters, it's the person that counts the vote. And they want to be in position, especially in our major urban population centers, where Joe Biden has unconstitutionally been flying illegal immigrants into places like Texas and Florida to try to tip the scale, tip the balance. So this has to be a big concern. And just the same as we were caught off guard with the unsolicited mail-in ballots 4 years ago, we cannot be caught off guard this time.
Oh, they're going to try, though, aren't they? We saw what just happened in France. And boy, the left will do anything to cling to power. Not what's good for America, not what's good for you and I, Colonel, but what's good for them and their power. Sir, thank you as always.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, and God bless, Steve.